Welcome to the Head Heart Balance, the Art of Funambulism Conference. We're here today to speak to you about the Wires Crossed project and the legacy of Galway 2020 European Capital of Culture. My name is Ian Walsh, and I'm a lecturer in Drama and Theatre Studies at the National University of Ireland, Galway. And it is my great pleasure to be moderating this roundtable discussion today. Just a few housekeeping things just before we begin the discussion. We encourage you all to post your questions through the chat function during the session. However, it's quite a packed session, so we may not get to them during the session, but we'll try our best to answer them afterwards through our social media. And you can connect with us on Twitter, and the hashtag is #WiresCrossed to ask questions, share photos, and more. Also, you'll see throughout the session that these short poll questions will come up on your screen. And if you could answer those for us, that would be fantastic and really, really helpful as well. So just to look out for those as well. So I'll begin by introducing our panelists. So today we have the privilege of hearing from three speakers, and they are Marilyn Gaughan-Reddan, Head of Programme at Galway 2020 European Capital of Culture; Vincent Wauters, Director, École de Cirque du Bruxelles and European Centre of Funambulism; and Ulla Hokkanen, Executive Creative Director, Galway Community Circus. And indeed, we're going to begin our session now with Ulla telling us a little bit about the background to the Wires Crossed project. So I'll pass over to you, Ulla.
Thank you so much, Ian, and lovely to meet you all. So yes, Wires Crossed is a big European partnership project to empower, to inspire, and to support people through the art of funambulism. So this is the art of walking on a wire with a balancing pole, to anybody who maybe hasn't heard this term before. The project actually started in Brussels about, I think, maybe 7 years ago. I was there at a conference, and I had the opportunity to take part in a very short workshop taught by Vincent. So I got up on the wire, I mean, only this much off the ground. But I just fell in love with the activity. I thought it was incredibly accessible. And even in that short workshop, I got a real boost of confidence and thought I was actually able to do this. So ever since then, with Vincent, we were looking for opportunities to do a European project on funambulism. And an opportunity came up in 2016 when Galway was getting ready for the bidding to become a European Capital of Culture. And the Galway 2020 team were connecting with the local organizations and inviting project ideas. So I went to see Marilyn and Tracy at Galway 2020 to talk about funambulism. And I remember the first meeting, they were very welcoming and excited about the idea. And I remember the words when they said, "You just have to dream bigger." So I have reminded them a few times about this. But I also remember that time being quite difficult time in Galway, that winter, particularly in terms of youth mental health. And the conversation around youth mental health was very much about the river Corrib that flows through Galway city. For anybody who doesn't know Galway, the river Corrib is one of the fastest and apparently one of the shortest rivers in Europe. And it's a really beautiful location, but also it's a place of great sadness, unfortunately. So at Galway Community Circus, we really wanted to do something that would address this mental health crisis. And but of course, we are a circus school, so we wanted to do this in a circus way, through a message of hope and joy and resilience. So from there, together with Vincent, we started to dream and make plans for a large-scale, community-based high wire spectacle over the river Corrib. So we wanted to bring together people of all ages, all ethnicities and backgrounds. But I guess the problem or the challenge was that at Galway Community Circus, we didn't know what funambulism was. We had never delivered any funambulism programs before. So we really had to learn everything from the beginning, and I mean everything. So we reached out to our members and friends of course, at the European Center of Funambulism, and also at the International Youth and Social Circus Network Caravan. And we started to develop partnerships with European circus schools, just like us. And we were lucky to get the support from Galway 2020. So with this support, we were able to expand our team. And I mean, at the time, we were a very, very small organization. I think we had 1 or 2 employees. So, of course, we needed some support for this ambitious project. So we rolled up our sleeves and we got to work, and we started applying for European Union funding. Can we please put up the first slide? I just wanted to show you this kind of brief timeline of some of the big milestones for the Wires Cross project. Since 2016, the partnership has delivered 7 Erasmus Plus and 1 Creative Europe funded project. 3 of those are still ongoing. And we have begin public workshop programs in 7 countries. And I really want to mention here as well the huge support from LERGAS, the Irish National Agency for Erasmus Plus funding, who've been supporting the Wires Cross project since 2017. Thanks so much for showing that slide. And if you could put up a video from the very beginning of the project, from the very first crossing, here we are. So this is back in 2017 in Galway City, where we do the first kind of training crossing over the Claddagh Basin. So here you can see the team of local and international new funambulism teachers, and our team of expert funambule, Dennis Jocelyn and Bruno Franette as well. And most of the people that you can see in this video, it's their very first time crossing a water on a wire. So it's really nice memories. The Wires Cross project has 5 main strands. First and foremost, it's professional training and development for circus artists and educators. So we had a group of circus teachers who were introduced to funambulism and who, through the process, learned and are learning how to teach this to members of the public. And Vincent will speak about that a little bit in a short while. Secondly, very key to this project is public engagement. So we had a public engagement program of funambulism workshops for people of all ages delivered by the different circus schools involved. Thirdly, very important for us was the development of European partnerships and expanding the European Funambulism Network. Of course, the event in Galway was very important. So we wanted to have a big festival and performance event in Galway City, which was planned to take place in August 2020. And we would have had 400 performers taking part in a big high wire spectacle of 33 hours. And we'll tell you in a short while of what happened and will happen with this one. And finally, important for the project was the legacy element. So we wanted really this project to create sustainable participation, training, and performance programs in the partnering circus schools. For us, our involvement with Galway 2020 and the Wires Cross project was never just about the European Capital Culture Year and the kind of fireworks to do with this. Of course, we wanted that big event to happen. But it was very much about the long-term development, the learning and the sharing, and about connecting and empowering people through this journey.
Great. Thank you so much, Ulla, for that. And it's really great to get such a comprehensive outline of the project for us at the beginning of this discussion. I wonder now if I could just pass on to Vincent just to further a little bit that last point you made about long-term development, I guess, and it relates to that a little bit, which is how you developed a methodology to train the trainers. So Vincent, perhaps you could come in and talk to us a little bit about that aspect of the project.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, like that? Yes. Hello, everybody. Just to explain where I learned tightroping. In 2010, I discovered funambulism walking on a line with a pole. It was a real revelation. Since that moment, I am passionate about funambulism, and I discovered these skills thanks to a French funambule, Denis Josselin. Since then, I encourage everyone to practice this unforgiving discipline, really unforgiving. We organize in Brussels many workshops and crossing of the Brussels Canal, 10 years of happiness. In caravan meeting, European meeting, I met Ulla, the Galway Community Circus director. She is smart. She understood the magic of funambulism and its potential. In 2015-16, Ulla and I had the crazy idea to gathering 400 funambules to cross the Corrib in Galway for Galway 2020, European Capital of Culture. But the 400 funambules didn't yet exist. They had to be trained. A big challenge. Training funambules across Europe was the challenge. But we had to train funambule teachers. Then they would themselves train new funambule in their own countries. And 4 years later, 400 funambule would be ready to go to Galway for the crossing of the Corrib, an unbelievable project, but we will do it. When we decide, we do it. 8 circus schools jumped in the project: Circus from Sweden, Saltimbank from Luxembourg, the Serious Road Trip in Timișoara, Romania, Cirque in Prague, Kabuwadzi in Berlin, and of course, Galway Community Circus in Ireland and École de Bruxelles. 6 circus schools jumped in the project. That was so exciting. With the help of European Commission and Erasmus Plus program, we organized 3 times 4 weeks training courses for funambule teachers, each of which welcomed 12 candidates. A total of 36 teachers from circus school were introduced to the teaching of funambule. So that's many people. And they were in charge of training many new funambule to their country. So we are on a good way. Maybe we will have our 400 funambule. We had also, we added training in setting up small funambule structure. This was to help the schools to manage their own installation. Bruno Frenette and Denis Josselin took charge of the training program. And we worked together on the basis of the experience we have in Brussels, thanks to the formation pédagogique in circus art. From 2017-18, all around Europe, many people were walking with a pole on a wire or on slackline. Wire installation is difficult. We need big anchorings to fix the wire. Wires are heavy. Stands A-frame to raise the wire are bulky. To make easier work for the school, we decided to use slackline, more light and flexible. We use ladders, telescopic aluminum ladders to adjust the height of the slackline. Everybody said that I was crazy to do that, but I went on because I thought it's the only solution to help the school to go on. And we choose a name for this new discipline, Funline, Funambulism, and slackline. So Funline. It's not Funline, it's Funline. And it was easy to organize Funline training in park, sport hall, schools. And with new funambule trainers and with Funline, funambulists can grow up all over Europe. Unfortunately, the corona crisis started just when we were preparing the last workshop session. The new funambule trainers should organize workshops in their country. They had to prepare the national funambule team, but it was impossible because all Europe was closed. And today, with the slowdown of the corona, we restart the training. This week in Brussels, we have a special workshop with 6 European future trainers. They work with Bruno Frenet or specialists. And unfortunately, Galway 2020 was in the back and the Corrib crossing remained a dream. But we think so much about that it exists in my mind. But thanks to wire-crossed, funambulism and funline were growing in Europe, and we have reached one of our main objectives, share this wonderful and incredibly accessible discipline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vincent. You mentioned there at the end, I guess, the global pandemic that hit. And I might move now, Marilyn, to you and just to ask, I guess, so here we are, we have this amazing project. We have all of these workshops, all of these people trained up. And then, of course, this disaster happens on a global scale. What happened next, Marilyn?
Yeah, I suppose when the pandemic hit, it hit with a fabulous, gosh, it was devastating, to be honest. And I took over the management and administration of the program that week. So it was a challenge on every level. And immediately my thought and my head and that of the team turned directly to the bid book and to how we had built the projects within the bid book, which was through partnership and collaboration with our partners and our local cultural providers and our local artists. And that became the absolute focus of everything we did from March onwards. We postponed and cancelled all of our international acts and focused all attention and resources to Galway, which was the right thing to do. It was a tough decision, difficult conversations were had. We absolutely stand over it because it was the right thing to do. And our cultural partners deserved an opportunity to deliver their projects in whatever way we could make happen. And in doing that and in revising the programme and in reworking it with the department and all of the cultural partners and artists, bearing in mind there were over 600 artists involved in this programme, it was not easy. And in doing that, Galway became the only cultural project of scale to continue to deliver in the world, albeit mostly online and at times in person. But that became a very significant model of resilience and brilliance and agility and flexibility on the part of our partners, because it also became one of the first European capitals of culture to deliver in a partner-led modelling way. I'm not a creative director, I see myself very much as a facilitator. And in this role as head of program, I saw my role very much to facilitate the collective creative vision of our partners. Again, a very difficult thing to do because you have so many projects. There were over 500 events, all very different, with different objectives, very different ways of working, very different ways of delivering, different platforms. And to create a clear and coherent program around that was very challenging. For me, Wires Crossed was one of the most important projects from day one. I remember the first day I met Ulla. I remember the first conversation. And I remember many conversations after I first met her. And there's a quote that always stays in my head from Maya Angelou, which is, people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And after every meeting on Wires Crossed, I felt hope. I felt great hope for the future and great hope for the art form and great hope, full stop, for Galway. I'm the daughter of a lifeboatman. So when I hear the helicopter, that soundscape means something very different to me. It means rescue and recovery. And it brings a tear to my heart and a sadness. It brings a tear to my eye and a sadness to my heart, because I know that there are people out there looking for someone who's part of another family. And many families are affected. And when Ulla came and spoke about Wires Crossed, in this specific place, in that context, that's when it resonated. And it's resonated right the way through, because the project, you know, we can talk about legacy all we want, but legacy is actually not the fireworks. Legacy is about people, about place, and about participation. And that's what a real European Capital of Culture project does. That's what real engagement does. And that's what real delivery does. The firework, the spectacle provides a memory, a moment in time, and that's great. But the work that has been achieved and the lives that have been changed because of this project, that's real legacy for me. And the next steps that we take together when we start this legacy consultation process in September are really, really crucially important for this particular project and for its outcomes. And I think to achieve the vision that Ulla and Beck and the team have is really, really important, and to not lose sight of what we said we would do in the first place. And I feel quite strongly about that, actually. So again, you know, I would say as well, the project has done more for the art form than we all realise, because obviously circus is one of the oldest art forms in Europe. But from an Irish perspective, it was only enacted in 2003. So it's one of the technically youngest art forms in the country. And I said to you earlier, you know, Roisin and I were in the Mall and outside a cafe in Galway. We overheard people talking about funambulism, was the term they used. And I just thought, my gosh, like, this is what this project has done. People are talking about not just circus, but funambulism was the term they used. And I thought it was really interesting that it's become part of our language, part of how we describe things, part of what we do. We sent out a press release at the end of the programme in Galway 2020, and Ulla remarked that it included all of the circus terminology. And that's just second language to us now. 4 years ago, that was not the case. So I think what the project has done is it's changed our understanding and our narrative around the art form and the specific genre of funambulism. It's changed the way we look. I will never see the carb in the same way or the same light. I just won't. And I think many people in Galway feel the same. And I'm excited for where the project goes next. I think it's only the start. I don't think it's the end. And I think it's the start of beautiful European relationships that need to have their day, an event that needs to have its day, and a centre that needs to be built.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. That's great. If I can dwell a little bit on the kind of final things you were saying there in relation to this impact that the project has had in Ireland. You've pointed out how we have much greater awareness of circus, perhaps, and social circus, I guess, youth and social circus, yeah, as part of this particular project. And then also that we have this other unforeseen impact, which was this kind of new model of delivering festivals, perhaps that is much more what you said, kind of partner-led modeling, I think was the term you had. What I might do is, if we could dwell with impact now for a minute, and Ulla, you could perhaps share with us some of the statistics that we have in relation to this. That would be fantastic to back up what, in real terms, in figures terms, the project has achieved.
Yes, can we please share the impact summary slide? I just wanted to show you wires crossed in numbers. So what has the partnership achieved since 2016, and this would be now until kind of May 2021. So of course, listening to Marilyn's words, that's so powerful. And then this is the other kind of story told through numbers. So yeah, I mean, we are really proud of what our team has achieved with this project. So you can see some of the kind of public engagement numbers. These would be referring to Ireland. So we've had 95 public workshops. We've had 1,422 participants in these workshops, and these would be people from the youngest would have been 6 years of age, and then well into their kind of 70s would be the kind of older participants in the workshops as well. And about half the participants would have been children and young people under the age of 18. You can also see some of the impact for artists and circus practitioners, like Vincent was referring to. We had 94 artists engaged with the project so far. We had 93 days of professional training, and mainly, well, I'd say about 90% of these would be through the Erasmus Plus projects that we mentioned. We had 36, and we have 36 new funambulism tutors, trainers who took part in those workshops. We had 20 European partners in the project across 13 countries, and that's quite scale just there. We had 67% of our total budget spent on the artistic program of the project, and 41.5% of the total budget came from Galway 2020. And then our team, like I mentioned, our team worked really hard, and together with our partners, we then secured funding from other sources, including Erasmus Plus, Creative Europe, the Arts Council of Ireland, Galway City and County Councils were supporting us, as well as the Finnish Institute, the Science Foundation of Ireland, and the Irish government, and some other funders as well. So we're really blessed to have many supporters. One of the kind of impact that we have is this unique methodology created for funambulism participation that Vincent talked about. And the fact that one of the legacies from Wires Crossed are going to be funambulism participation programs in 8 European circus schools. So I think that's a lot already just there in terms of impact.
Excellent. And maybe if I could ask a few questions around these figures now a little bit. I mean, one very, very clear thing that's made apparent by all of those figures is the amount of collaboration and cooperation that has happened across circus schools and festivals and universities indeed as well. Maybe if could you tell us, you did it briefly already a little bit, Vincent, but could you tell us a little bit more about how those collaborations went and a little bit more detail about the various collaborations across the countries?
The collaboration through the countries, we work we use the caravan network. The caravan network is a 10 years network with 35 countries, and it's like a big family. And I like work with family, and so we have different meeting with the corona. It's difficult to have meeting with this member of family, but through the screen, through the computer, it's possible to feel to have the feeling of the family, because everybody respects us. And through this network, we propose to organize the Funambule network, and some circus school say, yes, we start, we go on, it's a good project, and we organize a connection between these different countries, and with the help of the European Commission, it's possible to have some fund to organize travel, training, and everything.
Great, thank you. And the other kind of striking thing, I guess, is the amount of employment that this has generated, and funding for artists and for tutors, etc. Ulla, would you be able to kind of unpack that a little bit more for us in kind of real terms, how that kind of worked? That aspect of how, when we see those figures, it's wonderful, but how did that manifest in reality, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So through the Wires Cross project to date, we've had we've employed 45 people across the partnership, and this would be, like I said, we used the support and the funding from Galway 2020 to build the capacity of our team, so that we could apply for funding and coordinate those European projects. So this would be part of it. We grew the Galway Community Circus team. Also, it would include trainers, circus trainers, riggers, production crew who were working on the various kind of events, crossings in Brussels, in Galway, and the different kind of training events that we had in that project.
Great. And I guess, Marilyn, you've already, I guess, outlined for us, as I said, those key impacts nationally, and also perhaps how you came to the project a little bit. If you were to isolate it, could you isolate it down to, like, is there particular aspects you think that were really attractive about this project? I mean, there's the participatory aspect, there's the kind of internationalism, the mental health aspects as well. Was it all of those things that were attractive, or is there anything that really kind of led or jumped out that, I mean, it's wonderful to see that figure of 41.5%, that you really got behind this project. And you said earlier how it was special to you. What was it that really attracted you to it, I guess?
I think it was the way in which Ulla expressed the whole vision for the project. I think you can start at the very top and have a really clear vision, and she had a very clear vision from day one. That was the most impactful thing from the outset, that we knew that this was a project that would be realized because of the belief and the vision. Once that gets shared across the team and teams, then you have real sustainability within a project. And that sustainability is led through the partnership and the different funding models. Every project in the Galway 2020 program had an entirely different funding model because of its make, shape, size, scale, genre, art form, or cultural form. So no two projects were alike in any way. And I think that's one of the very interesting things about the Galway approach, that each partner had the opportunity to build the project in a way that responded to the needs and wants and vision of their individual organizations. And that was led by trust on our part and on their part. So for me, it was a number of things. Again, the human story is not lost on me in any way, shape or form. And for anyone who ever heard Ulla talk about the project and the human side of it in terms, and she spoke eloquently at the start of this call around that particular summer in Galway, that particular year, that winter, when so many lives were lost in the Carib. It was a tough time in the city, and it still is a tough time in Galway. And I think that the human story was another very compelling component of it. And then the art form, this word that we'd never heard before, funambulism, which is now part of our everyday vocabulary. And to the point that the interest in circus was generated so much amongst all of us. I mean, I even did an 8-week course. I'm petrified of heights. And Ulla spoke at the start of this and said, you know, when Vincent introduced her to funambulism, she crossed the wire. I actually never managed to cross the wire. I was too petrified. I got halfway across and fell off, I don't know how many times. The sense of achievement, even just getting halfway across, is unbelievable. I would consider myself to be brave enough, but it was one of the scariest things I'd ever done as a human. It's not easy. It's. Have you tried it, Ian? Have you tried it?
Oh no. Again, I wouldn't be great on heights, but.
I was only 2 feet off the ground. Like I was 2 feet off the ground, and every bone in my body was shaking. My heart was pounding. It was in my neck. It's petrifying and exhilarating and exciting all at the same time. And when Ulla spoke about a balancing act for Europe in terms of mental health, I got it. I got it only through trying and experiencing. And I would encourage anyone who's on this to give it a go, to actually join the circus. Physically go and join the circus and do a workshop and experience it. I tried all aspects of Galway Community Circus. None of it, I'm not a natural, did not come easy, I gotta tell you. Would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. It was exhilarating, and that's the joy in sharing an art form like this with everyone, and that's what Galway Community Circus have managed to do. And so many families across Galway are touched by the circus project in lots of different ways and means. And across Ireland, and as I said, changing the landscape of terminology, and what the project has done for the art form in Ireland is really, really significant. And I think we have to really talk about that from a policy perspective as well, because it is technically, alongside architecture, the youngest art form, and to have it so advanced at such an early stage in its own path is really interesting to me. Just from a policy perspective, I find that quite interesting. Also, the capacity building component of the project, building the capacity of the team and of others. There's a great sense of sharing across the organisation. That's one thing I feel very strongly about, and the way in which Galway Community Circus have not just shared within their own team, but then shared across the sector in Galway and partnered with so many cultural partners across the Galway 2020 programme and on other projects. And that's been a joy to watch, actually, to watch all of these new relationships and all of these new collaborations born from a series of conversations, not just across Europe and internationally, but locally, which is really, really important in terms of sustaining these cultural organisations, not just through the pandemic, but post the pandemic. I think in a couple of years' time, when we're all physically paying for COVID, my concern immediately moves to my sector and how it will be sustained and supported and financed in the years to come. And these sustainable models, and when you look back on Ulla's chart of all the different funders and the number of partners and the number of collaborators, it leads for a stronger, more sustainable organisation. And I think that's quite important, to not be just reliant on one source. Does that answer your question, Ian?
Oh, great. I'm also curious, I guess, you've done a great job, Marilyn, of telling us how it's developed in Ireland and you know, the awareness around the art form, the awareness of circus. how it's such a young art form in Ireland, but yet now we have literally people on the street using technical terms like funambulism, which is wonderful. I'm wondering about the European countries though as well. It's, you know, the other countries, some partner countries. I mean, the fact of all those statistics, all these trained people, the amount of workshops that happened across the different countries. I'm just curious, before the project, in a way, how big is funambulism as a discipline within circus schools? Has it been, is it more specialist? It seems that because it has so much more equipment involved, possible insurance issues, etc. What is it that, what was it like before the project? Has this, because it seems from the statistics that it has obviously had a very large impact and will continue to with all of these trained people. But I'm just curious, elsewhere, what was the status of funambulism? Maybe either Vincent or Ulla, yeah?
I started the Circus School of Brussels 40 years ago, and I was juggler and nobody was juggling. And I didn't understood why nobody was juggling. And after that, I didn't understood why nobody used circus art. So I went to Paris to learn that. And many people look at me like people from the space, because it's what is coming with his juggling and his unicycle. He would like to be proud and to be different. But after 40 years, circus exists. And with circus art exists, there are many circus schools in everywhere. And it's not because me. I think it happened because it should happen. Something push circus to grow up. And with the funambulism, it was the same. 10 years ago, I discovered funambulism, and I didn't understood why nobody make funambulism. No school share funambulism. Yes, it's possible to walk on a wire without a pole, but with a pole, it's really accessible for everybody. And when I understood that, I decided I will share that. And now, after 40 years old, I will be retired of the Circus School of Brussels, but I will go on with funambulism because I think we have to open many projects everywhere. So there was nothing, but there will be many things. And I think it's important that you try. And you have to go to Galway Community Circus to try to understand that. You have to go on with funambulism.
And Ian, if I could jump in there, I regularly present to the other capitals of culture across Europe. We have a network of all 50-odd European capitals of culture, and it was quite interesting because we were, as colleagues across different countries, talking about the program and different types of projects and size and scale and so on. And it was interesting to me that a number had said they had never really included a circus project in their programs. And certainly the Galway 2020 investment in Galway Community Circus was the largest single investment by a European capital of culture in a circus project to date in the history of the 50-odd capitals of culture. And it came up a lot in our own meetings and really intrigued. So there hadn't been a project like this in a European capital of culture program to date. And I think one of the interesting things for me has been in the discussions I'm having now with the future capitals of culture, where I'm talking about delivery models and how you can deliver in a pandemic and how you can still support your local cultural economy and local artists, and to prioritize that as a model and to look at actually perhaps collective creative visions rather than one individual over another, because that in European capital of culture should be about people, place and participation. It should be about belonging, and it should be about everyone. And I really believe that quite strongly. And it's interesting because many of the future capitals of culture, at least the 7 that I'm working with at the moment, are very much looking at the Galway 2020 partners and looking at the work that they have done, the work they have achieved, and the work they have delivered. So I actually really believe that Ulla will have a number of calls, you know, over the next couple of years around how this was developed. Is this a model that's transferable in other countries? Can you build something up like this in another country? And you know, the fact that it's a pan-European project, and on the one hand means you can, but again, from a sustainability perspective, what does that look like, and what are the challenges in growing a circus school? And one of them said to me, it was quite interesting, one of my colleagues in Novi said, so you're telling me there's a circus school in the most westernly part of Europe, and it's delivered the largest circus project in the European capital of culture ever, and it's in Galway. And I'm like, yes, it is. And it's run by this wonderful Finnish woman. And it's really a truly capital of culture initiative. And that's what it should be about, equal place participation.
Brilliant. You've brought up the future there, I think, which is a lovely segue to our next topic, which is exactly that. You know, the future of the project and what's ahead. So I might actually pass now to Vincent, if you could tell us a little bit now about future plans from here.
Yes. So we work with Wire Cross. We organize training of trainer, different things, and in the motion of the development of funambulism, Ulla and I had many meetings and talks, and we dreamed a lot, and we decided to try another crazy project. We decided to try to create a new company, a funambule company, and we found an excellent partner in Romania, the Circus School of Timișoara, the Serious Road Trip, and so we were with three, and we would like to have another partner, and so we started with ULB. And this morning we had the presentation of the research on funambulism by the ULB. And we decided to use, to try to send a document, a project, an application to Creative Europe. And Creative Europe could be the best program to reach our goal. And together with Tracy from Galway 2020, a very good writer, and Becca Clayton, a great producer, we worked for many weeks, many days, some nights, to submit a proposal to Creative Europe program. 6 months later, we learned that we were one of the 2 circus projects selected at the European level. What pride, but what a lot of work ahead. And both our schools, we work with amateur. We wanted to raise the technical and artistic level of funambulism in Europe by creating a show that was original in its conception, by the number of funambules present on the wire. They will be 15, and by the mix of professional and amateur artists. 5 professional and 10 amateurs. That's really new, but it's important for us to mix and to give the opportunity to our student to train with professional. And we are a circus school, and we are not an artistic company. Another original feature is the scenography. 5-wire crossed will cover a circle of 42 diameter on several levels. The 15 funambules will cross on this stage online, and the audience will be surrounded then at 360 degrees. And that's really, really new, but it's maybe crazy, but we will do it. And we have entrusted the direction to Sergi Otz, a Spanish director, a professional director. He has already directed large-scale shows. And we have chosen another professional, Mariana Moya, a choreographer from Catalonia, who is dancer and funambule. And they know really well each other. And now they dream of finally being able to start the rehearsal. And for the music, we would like to work with a professional too. And the music is entrusted to a Belgian musician, a composer, Gilles Mortiaux. He is as well an aventurer. Bruno Frenette, a Frenchman, a French funambule, technical director and pedagogue will take care of the logistic. And with this team, we know that we have many chances to reach our goal because they are passionate by the project. And now we should start 1 year and a half ago, and they are still really passionate by the project, and that's so funny. And we unfortunately in March 2019 Europe stopped, and we couldn't go on, but now, with the opening of the crisis, we restart. And we start this morning with the organization of the seminar with the University of Brussels and with professional artists, funambule. And this morning was really important for me and for us because it was the restart of our project. This seminar should be the end of the project, and we decided to start again, to restart with this project, and that gave me good energy. And the next forecast will be a residence in Brussels in April 2022, followed by creative rehearsal in Timișoara, then in Brussels, and leading to a premiere in July in 2022 in Galway. We come back to Galway, and we cross fingers to cross the wires. Fortunately, in each of the partner country, Ireland, Romania, and Brussels, training will amateur as continuing. They are, we go on with the training, and for example, in Brussels, we have 1,000 of funambule who try to follow our training, and we have to choose 10 to join the Basalto company. And I suggest to watch the video of Sergi, the director of the show. He will introduce you to the content of the show, the inspiration, its red line.
Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm Sergio. I'm the Basalto show director, and with my colleague and funambulist Mariana Moya, we are creating this huge European circus show. I'm so sorry I cannot join today during the conference, but I want to talk about the show just a few minutes. Basalto, it's an outdoor show where the funambulism is the main axis for developing this poetical and visual circus show, where 5 funambulists, professional funambulists, and 10 amateur will take part of this large format montage. Basalto is inspired by the migration that occur in our planet, the great migration, like the migration of birth, the plankton that they move through the current sea, or the people that they they move through the seas and oceans, because they have to leave their countries because armed conflict or something like that. Also, the name of Basalto comes from two concepts. The first one is because in Northern Ireland, it's a geological area made up by basalto stones. The legends say that once again there was a bridge built by these basalt columns, and it was used by the giants. And this bridge linked Ireland and Scotland. And one day the giants became angry and destroyed this bridge, and these basalt columns located in this area is the only vestige of this ancient bridge. Also, basalto comes from the Italian word basso, that means low or bass, and alto, that means height. So with this conjunction of words, we make the configuration and technical design of the show, and we want to create two universes, where the lowest cable and the highest cable, they built like a bridge between these two walls, and we want to perform with this contrast of the rigidity of the cables and the human bodies, that they can play like lava, and they can be crystallized like the basalto columns. They can conquer the new height level, or the new horizon, or the new world. So this is more or less the concept of the show. Now we are creating and performing, rehearsing the show in Catalonia, only Marion and me, and we are preparing all the process for meet the team the next year and start the creation and all the rehearsals with the whole artistic team, and that's it. We are looking forward to meet all our team after this long break, and I hope you can join the show around Europe. Bye bye.
So you can see that we work with a real professional, and Sergi Otz, you see, is really motivated, and he's waiting when we start. And the other partner of the artistic team are in the same energy. And now a few words about what happened in Brussels now this week. And so I explained that we start with the training of funambule trainers. And this week we organize a big workshop in Brussels, a combination on funline and funambulism. And I explained that funline is really important because it's easier for the installation, but funambulism, walking on a wire, is very important too. And this week we have 20 trainees from 12 to 65 years old, from 12 different nationalities. They are testing themselves, training, listening to the advice of the French trainer Bruno Frenet, and a really incredible group in its diversity and respect of each other. And that's so really important for us to mix the different population. And this week it's it's a kind of paradise. And it's also a kind of paradise because we are really lucky. Really lucky because we can use a fabulous space, the Gare Maritime of Tour et Taxi. And so I will move so you can see this space. And I think it's a kind of dream. And we have to understand that maybe it will not go on, but we have to take the chance. This group, these 20 people, will tomorrow make the crossing of the Canal of Brussels. It's 42 meters long, 9 meters over the water. Everybody have a safe line. We are crazy, but not really crazy. And you will see on the Facebook many pictures of the people who will cross the canal, because usually we use this photo for our own Facebook page. And so in 24 hours, we start the crossing of the canal.
Thank you, Vincent. And the conference audience will have a chance to see this crossing live tomorrow, Saturday. I don't remember the time now, but maybe Becca can put it up on the chat. And we'll have a special session tomorrow to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the European Center of Funambulism and to join the crossing in Brussels. Of course, we'd all love to be in Brussels, not just virtually, but in real life, but hopefully soon. So this is something about the active, what is happening on a European level with the project. And as we mentioned, in Ireland, we have now, Galway Community Circus has set up the Irish Centre of Funambulism, which is the permanent facility for funambulism participation, training and performance. And we wanted to show you just a very short video to tell you a little bit about what this means.
I'm Tony and I work at Galway Community Circus. I'm the head rigger and one of the tutors at the Irish Centre of Funambulism. Funambulism is the art of walking a wire with a balancing pole, incorporating skills of balance and concentration. There is a lot of mental aspects to it, you know, it can go pretty far. I do try to remind people that it is just a walk in the park at the end of the day, but you know, a lot of people mightn't really see that there's a lot happening in their brains, for their body, for their bodily awareness, for their self-awareness, for their confidence, and there can be a lot of fear at play as well, but you know, with the baby steps and piece by piece through the learning process, we can break that down and actually get a massive sense of achievement and a huge sense of overcoming in the participants. So there is a bit more to it than just walking on a wire.
My name's Marilyn and I'm from Galway. I started doing circus when I was 11, so I've been doing it for 11 years. And I'm a tutor at Galway Community Circus. I started as a student, but now I'm a tutor for the small kids and I'm a wires cross tutor as well. When you're walking, you're constantly like focusing on your breath and everything like that, so it's really, really good for that sort of thing if you have like stress or anxiety, which I do. That's personally the most thing I've noticed, is that it really kind of helps you to ground yourself and focus in like what you're breathing and how your body feels and everything like that. In order to learn to walk, you have to relax a lot. So you have to like get past that mental barrier of, I can't do this, I'm not like good enough, I'm never going to be able to do this, and it's so scary the first time you try, but then after a while you just kind of, I don't know, you have to like surrender to it and relax your body. And yeah, self-belief is like the only thing that, you know, everybody can physically do it, everybody can. It's just like believing in yourself and kind of finding the strength to like, it's more mental barriers than physical barriers.
Wires Crossed came to life as part of the Galway 2020 European Capital of Culture program. It's a partnership of the European Funambulism Network, which is a network of 7 circus schools all around Europe. The Irish Centre of Funambulism is a legacy of Wires Crossed and Galway 2020. It's a permanent training facility for funambulism participation and performance here in Galway City. Our plans for the Irish Centre of Funambulism include a seasonal program from every May to September of public workshops for people of all ages to learn how to do funambulism. Also professional development programs for circus artists and circus teachers, international partnership programs, and different performance and community events. See that at Galway Community Circus, funambulism is here to stay, and we really it will remain one of the key areas of our work at the circus school. Now we just have to find a suitable space where we can really set up to reach the full potential of this incredible activity. And of course, as Vincent was referring to a little bit, we haven't let go of the dream to cross the River Corrib on those wires. We are showing, the team is showing incredible resilience, and we keep going. So next July in 2022, we will, we are planning to, I don't want to promise anything after this pandemic, you know, our hearts are a little bit broken, but we fully intend to host an adapted version of the spectacle over the river and the Clara Basin. And as Vincent mentioned, this will include the premiere of the Basalto show, as well as a big European youth high wire ensemble of 50 young people from 6 countries coming to Galway. So we encourage everybody to come to Galway next summer, and hopefully we can meet with this beautiful international community again in real life.
Thank you both, Vincent and Ulla, for that kind of summary of all these really, really exciting plans in the near future. And I think we should be hopeful. And yes, looking at those people on those wires, it seems to be, it's all about holding your nerve. And I think that we all need to do that with this project as well to get to that other side, I guess. In relation to the project as a whole, I guess, we spoke about the future just there now, and the immediate sort of plans that are happening and the exciting work that's happening even tomorrow within 24 hours. But maybe if we could look a bit beyond that, and the word legacy has come up several times through our conversation. But maybe if we could just wrap up and end on legacy as our final topic. If I could ask you all, maybe what is it for you? What is the legacy for you of the project, the Wires Crossed project, Galway 2020? And if I first maybe start with Marilyn, and then I'll go to Vincent, and then I'll finish with Ulla.
It's funny. I think legacy means something so different to every individual, and it's such a small word, but it's such a huge word. And I can't define the legacy of the project yet, because I kind of think there's more to come. And I think that it's the start of a magnificent journey for Wires Crossed and Galway Community Circus. I see it as the start, or if I had to answer your question directly, Ian, and say what is the legacy, it has been the collective response and change around the language of circus and funambulism, not just in Galway but in Ireland, a greater understanding. And I can definitely see that across my colleagues in Europe as well, and what this project has done. I think this project has changed as well how other European capitals of culture might programme. The fact that you take and support a 4-year developmental project over a longer period of time, and you invest in an organisation and you trust in an organisation, irrespective of the outcome, because, you know, to Ulla's point, for me, it's not about the fireworks, it's about the journey. It's about what takes you there. It's about what you experience. So I think it's changed a number of different things. I think it's changed how we programme. I think it's changed how we view the art form and the genre of funambulism. And I think it's changed the nature of what we understand to be a European Capital of Culture project, in that it really and truly is about people, place and participation. And I keep coming back to that, because that's when I use those expressions to describe what we've done in Galway, the project that keeps coming to mind over and over and over. One of those projects is Wires Crossed and what they've achieved. And a huge part of the legacy of this project has been the level of collaboration and partnership, right across Europe, across Ireland, and then across Galway. And that's been really, really significant, extremely significant. And the partnerships that were built and created because of the project that have led to other projects and other initiatives, and that knock-on effect. And as Ulla said, it's not just the numbers, it's the narrative, it's the story. And perhaps the greatest legacy is the stories that we haven't heard yet. Maybe it's the lives that have been changed and the lives that have been saved because of the project. And those stories won't emerge for quite a little bit while more. We heard one of them, remember Ulla, a year or two ago when somebody came in, we did the open session and somebody came in and they wanted to be part of it because they were part of the suicide watch on the canal and were really moved by the story of Wires Crossed. So I do think when the project has its outing, and the crossing actually happens in July 2022, because it will, and we'll all make it happen, and that's a promise. I think those stories will emerge, and they're the stories that are a huge part of the legacy, the human stories. I thought it very interesting to watch Marilyn on that clip, having been a student and now a tutor. That's a legacy. So for me, legacy means something very different. It's the people, it's the place, and it's the participation. And it's when those three things come together that real magic happens. And you can see it and you can feel it in this project at lots of different levels. Probably not answering your question very well, Ian, because yeah, it's been a long road, and I kind of get emotional about it because it's such an emotional project. It evokes that in us all, I think, you know, because what it really means is something very special to all of us.
Well, I think you answered the question fabulously. Yes, I mean, and if that is the legacy, that is a much more beautiful thing than maybe something that can be, you know, we're possibly obsessed with measuring outcomes these days. So I think to have something that is much more meaningful like that you're saying, to come out of this in relation to affecting people's lives or affecting an environment, and indeed having people feeling part of a community and a sense of belonging and all those things that we've previously mentioned. I think that what could be more important than that to an extent, I guess. But Vincent, if I could ask you maybe the same question as somebody who's been here from the beginning with this, how you feel that what kind of legacy might come from this? I think you're on mute, Vincent.
Look, yes, I think we build a real friendship around funambulism. That's a very important thing for me. And I think circus, as I said before, it's a big family. And now we have a family of funambule. And that's the impact of Wires Crossed. And Wires Crossed gives a good energy to the European Funambulism Center in Brussels. We, thanks to Wires Crossed, to help the center in Brussels to have a reflection about our pedagogy, about our work, and to help the center to grow up. And so we are ready to share all this energy. And we have now in Europe many teachers to help for the development of the funambulism, and that's really new. Brussels like very well pedagogy, and we have a famous formation pédagogique. We share pedagogics through Europe through this formation pédagogique, and we like to share what we love. And now we have teachers to share that, and that's a legacy. And in Berlin, a new project was born, is Coraggio, and I think that we will have a big new center in Berlin, and I have a dream, and my dream of crossing the Caribbean still exists, and so I would like to go back to Galway to cross the Caribbean, and not only the pool. I would like to cross the Caribbean, and maybe in 2022.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. As an educator myself, I guess it's just wonderful to hear that the legacy is that idea of sharing knowledge and pedagogy and teaching as well. And I think we'll all be there to cheer you on going across the Carve in 2022. It will be a special moment for us all. If I could direct the same question finally to you, Ulla, this idea of what the legacy might be for you.
Yes, I completely agree with both Marilyn and Vincent, and I also would like to think of Wires Crossed as this kind of catalyst, a project that has given energy for this European Funambulism Network and this movement of new funambulism activities. Now there are programs happening. Of course, this is not only because of Wires Crossed or because of Galway Community Circus or the partnership of our Creative Europe project, but we have helped to bring some energy into this, and I'm really happy about that, and we really look forward to just working with our European partners for years to come. I'm really proud that we haven't burned our bridges, even with the kind of hiccups of a minor global pandemic and what else being thrown at us. I'm so grateful for our friendships still. And as well as what Marilyn was saying, the personal stories, which we will never be able to capture all of them. I really hope that we can find a way to capture some of those magical and really life-changing stories that have already happened and will happen. But some of it we won't know, and that's okay as well. I think we just have to trust that what we do, matters. But something comes to my mind on a kind of practical level to give the audience an example. That, for example, in the last months, maybe 6 months, the Arts Council of Ireland have given the first 2 individual artist awards in funambulism ever. And this is very much to do with Wires Crossed. So that makes me very happy. I can't wait to see what the people who've been involved with Wires Crossed are going to do in the future. And like Vincent was saying, we still want to cross the river. I mean, we were, and many people were, a little bit heartbroken when we had to cancel the event last August. And I think now, as we are kind of emerging from this pandemic, it's just more important than ever that we give people something to dream about. To set these kind of crazy goals like crossing water on a wire. It's mad, but I think this is what the world needs. And it's our job to create a safe and supportive, positive outlet where people can participate in an activity like this that supports their well-being, that builds their confidence, and that creates a sense of community for them. So I really want this to be their legacy.
Wow. It's so inspiring to hear all those different legacies, which are just huge, I guess. And as I said, kind of immeasurable, but also maybe as a result of them, being those larger, maybe grander things that I think we all need right now, in many ways, that kind of inspiration to dream, that space to dream, that amazing vision of seeing somebody cross a river on a wire, of trying to do the impossible and push themselves. Really is, you've got me moved now as well. Not only Marilyn, I guess we're all being moved to tears here. I think what we'll do is we'll finish now, actually, I guess, on a very, very positive note in relation to all of that, with a final video that Ulla has to share with us, and then we'll come back and we'll finish our session. So Ulla, if you want to introduce the final video.
Yes. For sure. So now in this time when we are all online and many arts organizations are creating videos, so did we. And I'm really happy that we did. Over the last couple of months, since February, the young members of Galway Community Circus have been working with this really incredible company, 2 young filmmakers from Galway called Morgan Creative. And they created together a short film about funambulism, and they really tried to, and I think they did an amazing job to capture the essence of the Wires Crossed project. This film was commissioned by Galway 2020, and I would just really like to say a huge thank you to Marilyn and the whole team at Galway 2020. For your support with the film, and of course through the whole Wires Crossed journey, and to say a huge thank you to the performers involved in this film. I'm going to read these names so that I don't forget anybody. Anna Fitzgerald, Anna Fogarty, Becca Clayton, Camilla Tritini, Kira Molokny, Fred Rush, Isabella Mello, Ray Dewar, Nisha Walsh, Naven McCarran-Joyce, Oisin McGuire, and Tony Mahan. And with this, I just really want to say a huge thank you to the fantastic Galway Community Circus team, who are incredible. To all the brilliant, oh Jesus, I'm getting emotional here now. To the Wires Crossed partners and artists and all the participants, and everybody who's been part of our Wires Crossed journey to date. Big thank you to Vincent for still being here with us. And I'd love to present to you Step Off.
Step off onto cloud. You've done this before.
You've looked down to see a loud race unfold that holds you to ordinary.
Step off ordinary.
Step off streets where the sound of feet feeds fear.
Step into possibility.
Go through broken ground.
Like an oak's roots go through cold stone.
Step off into sky.
Feel those roots supply.
Lifting you within a hairline crack of light.
Step off over rush.
Shush the thump, thud,
thud of blood.
Succumb and feel your face flush with roses lush.
Step off over pride, because up here you cannot hide.
Step off and blind all idle minds with the valor of your kind.
Step off as neck hairs rise.
Like tiny skyscrapers.
Right down to the solid foundations of your soul.
Step off over insults.
Step off over jeers.
Step off over shouts.
Step off over cheers.
Step off
And be seen as we all can be seen.
In this long balancing act of life.
Haloed.
Sun drawn.
Step off into light.
Well, what a way to end. And that is the ending of our discussion, unfortunately, today. I would encourage you all, I guess, to step off into the future. This project, I think you hopefully got a real sense of how special it has been, and indeed how special it continues to be in its different forms. So it's just for me now to thank, on behalf of everyone, I think, the panelists for all of their contributions today. Thank you so much to Marilyn, to Vincent, and to Ulla for sharing so much about the project and the insight about its past, its future, and the legacy that it will have. I think it really, really shows you the importance of the arts, I guess, and how it can really help build communities and help in relation to well-being. A really inspiring presentation today, and I'm delighted and very privileged to be a part of it today. But this is not where things end, because you have a full day tomorrow again of inspiring things. We already heard about the crossing tomorrow that you can tune into, but we have a full conference tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. Irish time and 11 a.m. Central European time, with a very special roundtable talk with 5 of the best high wire walkers in the world. So you get to hear from the walkers themselves tomorrow. You can still register for tomorrow's conference through the Galway Community Circus website. So we'd encourage you very much to do that. And all that's left for me to do now really is just to thank yourselves for coming today and sharing all of this with us, and indeed to thank you for filling out the polls. I'm sorry we didn't get around to any questions. It was the nature of this format, the amount that we had to cover. But we, as I said at the beginning of this, would encourage you please to get in touch and indeed to ask questions through social media. Again, that hashtag was #WiresCrossed. So to continue to engage there, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of you tomorrow. So thank you so much. And I think I will sign off now. It's always hard to say goodbye as an Irish person, but I'll just say slán go fóill, au revoir.